There's been a big break in the world of tech stocks recently. One of the major institutions has been secretly buying shares of NEO. While this may be information that is open to the public, it seems like nobody has been noticing it yet. And if people get an idea about this, they might rush to buy NEO stocks too. While this institution already has a ton of NEO shares, someone recently pointed out that they're adding even more to their portfolio. If you're wondering what company I'm talking about, it's none other than Blackrock. What do they see in NEO's future that we don't see yet? And should this be a sign for stockholders and potential investors to seriously consider adding NEO to their portfolio too? Or is this just a hyping tactic? There can be a lot of reasons why a huge institution like this would add more shares. Are you interested in learning more about why they did this? Well, let me explain. Disclaimer. In the world of stocks, there are companies and investment firms whose names are so well respected that whenever they make moves, the market pays attention. Today, we'll be focusing on one of these institutions and why they're buying NEO stocks. A few months ago, Blackrock Inc. made a significant filing, revealing that they own over 62 million shares of NEO as of the end of the first quarter this year. This is worth about $300 million. Interestingly, this filing shows only a slight increase in their holdings from the previous one in February of this year. From February until the end of March, BlackRock has added almost 10,000 shares of NEO stock. Although the change in shares is minimal, the current value of their position stands at over $230 million. While the rest of the market, especially those that speak negatively of NEO, are hesitant in purchasing shares of the company, BlackRock, one of the biggest asset managers in the world, has a huge foot in the door. The level of market research that investment firms and asset management companies like these do is very extensive, which is why those who know what BlackRock has been doing are certainly copying the market decisions they do. This development is particularly exciting for NEO's stockholders and investors. It signals confidence from one of the world's largest asset managers, which could be a positive indicator for NEO's future prospects. However, BlackRock Inc. isn't just the only institution that has NEO shares. Can you guess what other asset managers have stocks of NEO? Some of the more popular names include Morgan Stanley, with over 28 million shares, and Goldman Sachs Group Inc., holding over 14 million shares. These are some of the heavy hitters in the world of stocks. Now, one may start to ask, what do these investment firms see in NEO? After all, the company has been on a steady decline in price over the past few months. Well, these numbers previously mentioned were all during the first quarter of 2024 and were reported in May 2024. And the main reason why these companies have these huge shares in NEO is because of the anticipation of NEO's earnings report back then for the first quarter. But in comparison, the earnings report for the second quarter for NEO might even be better. Now imagine what would happen to these institutions once they hear that the upcoming earnings report might be looking better. According to a user on X, NEO's upcoming Q2 report is set to reveal some impressive numbers. The company has seen a major jump in deliveries, with over 90% increase quarter over quarter, driven by the shift from older models to new ones. This is definitely a sign that the market's acceptance of NEO's models, technology, and infrastructure is increasing. It also helped that NEO was one of the pioneers of battery swap in electric vehicles, which solved a huge problem for EV users. Financially, NEO has also made significant strides, with notable reductions in losses and a decrease in the material cost per unit. If you were following the EV industry for a while, you'd know that the raw material used to make batteries for EVs has significantly dropped in price. The price for lithium was really high during 2020 since there has been an astronomical amount of demand in the market, but there are only a few suppliers. Now that the costs have stabilized, EV manufacturers like NEO can produce vehicles at a lower cost, which can spell more revenue for the company. These numbers represent a huge improvement for NEO, signaling that the company is on a strong upward trajectory. This progress will likely catch the market's attention, encouraging investors to take a closer look at NEO and consider increasing their positions in the stock. If these rumors of NEO's revenues increasing are true, do you think this would make the institutions such as BlackRock to add more NEO shares? Because it seems like the market is still very hesitant to invest in NEO. Some of their fears, however, are understandable. As mentioned, the company's price isn't at ideal levels for now, and there were legitimate reasons why NEO's stock price wasn't rising. The company's past strategy was marked by substantial investments in its sales organization, like the NEO houses and heavy capital expenditure on battery swap stations across the globe. Imagine the amount of money that was going out of NEO at this time. They also poured significant resources into R&D, both for their core brand and sub-brands. Despite all this, their sales growth, particularly outside China, was slower than expected. However, today, the picture has significantly shifted. NIO's car sales are now stabilizing at over 5,000 units per week. The launch of Onvo, a sub-brand with strong potential in a highly attractive price segment, is just around the corner. Both R&D and CapEx spending have slowed, partly in response to the sluggish international sales. At the same time, cost savings from factors like lithium prices, factory efficiencies, and economies of scale are starting to take effect. The battery swap stations, which have faced criticism from competitors, have now achieved an impressive milestone of 50 million swaps. Although we don't have exact figures on past earnings per swap, it's evident that this will be a key revenue stream moving forward. Not only will NIO earn from its users, they have ongoing partnerships with other brands such as Changan Automobile, Geely Holding, Jack Group, and Chery Automobile. Increased sales performance is expected to have a positive impact on working capital, and there are indications that their second quarter cash flow could be nearing a positive balance, especially with a $200 million financing in place. However, this is still uncertain due to the lack of reliable data on CapEx and R&D. What is clear is that if NIO can achieve sales of 60,000 units or more in the third quarter, the cash generated from these sales will further stabilize the company's financial performance. This marks a significant improvement in NIO's overall position. Another driver of a potentially good earnings report is due to NIO's amazing resale value. After all, people would definitely go for cars that can be sold at a high price when they do decide to let go of it, or if they're planning to upgrade. According to a user on X, one of NIO's models, the ES6, retains a value of more than 74%, as announced by the China Automobile Dealers Association and Jingzhen Appraisal, one of the most reliable car appraisers in China. This makes the car the top vehicle among all the pure electric vehicles available in the country, beating Tesla's Model Y in rankings. A potential major reason why appraisers price NIO's vehicles higher than most is because of their amazing hardware. If there are any issues with a car's software, it can be easily fixed with an update. However, if the issue is in its hardware, then it's a more difficult problem to solve. A post on social media showed the rankings of EVs when it comes to the computing power of their hardware. And as it turns out, NIO's Orin 4 chip is leaps ahead of their competition. This only shows how dedicated the company is to providing excellent and reliable vehicles to the market. With all these in mind, do you think that NIO will soon reverse its bear run? Or will its stock price still remain where it is? Stay tuned for future updates. If you want to learn more about NIO and the EV industry in general, you can also click on any of the videos on your screen. And lastly, it would greatly help the channel grow if you interact with the video. Leave a comment, and share this with your friends if you like them to stay updated on the latest happenings with NIO. See you in the next video.